We're going to talk here about the role that the water vacuole plays in maintaining cell structure in a plant. Because we know that plant cells are angled. A lot of times they look rectangular or squarish or, they look like a pentagon or what have you. They have angled sides. Now, for the most part, we know that the cell wall is this larger sort of structure made of cellulose, all right, that helps push the actual plant cell and keep its structure. So I'm actually going to draw this a little bit thicker to show, and it's going to look like so. Now, in your average cell, okay, we have the actual nucleus that's pushed off to the side. We've also got a cell membrane. And the cell membrane closely borders the actual plant cell wall, like this. Okay, they're usually more or less almost touching one another. And we've got our cellular nucleus here, which I will draw. Nucleus is off to the side, and I'm even going to move that over a little to here. So our nucleus is off to the side, and one of the key features of a plant cell is it's large. It's usually got one or two really large water vacuoles, and they almost look like these big lakes inside the actual cell, and they're filled with fluid. And they are actually membrane-bound sacs. They're like these baggies or balloons of water inside each cell. And what that actually does is it pushes or it applies an actual pressure on all of the other organelles, mainly the cell membrane, which pushes it against the cell wall. And this maintains the actual structure of a plant cell. So if all of the cells, all of the trillions of cells inside a plant are filled, their water vacuoles are filled like this, then the plant is upright. Okay, it is a happy thing. Its leaves are up. All right, let's say this is a flower. We will draw it like so. All right, it is erect. Now, we know that day to day water is used from these vacuoles, and it is used for chemical reactions. It's used for all kinds of things. For the most part, whatever water gets used in this vacuole is replenished by the actual water in the soil that the cells that make up the roots pick up. Because these roots here are in the ground, and they're sucking up water, and they're bringing that water into the actual plant. Now, if let's say this is a garden, and it goes through a hot spell or you don't water it, the cells will continue to use the actual water inside of their vacuoles. And if no water is replenishing that used water, then the vacuole starts to get smaller. If this water vacuole actually gets smaller, it is no longer pushing on the actual cell membrane. So the cell membrane actually detaches itself from the cell wall, and it shrivels up inside. The nucleus pretty much stays the same size, but you see this huge difference between this vacuole to this vacuole. As a result, the cell wall will start to buckle, which means it will start to collapse in on itself. And the actual physical result of this is you tend to have a very droopy, actual plant. And if that's the case, to a certain extent, if you water this back up, hopefully the cells will suck up the actual water in the soil. But if you don't, it kind of passes the point of no return, where if every cell inside this organism is looking like this, then the result is that the plant will wilt. Okay? We say that this pressure that the actual water pushes onto the cell membrane is called turgor pressure. Turgor pressure. And you'll see that oftentimes if you water a plant, okay, if its leaves are kind of droopy and you see it and you're like, oh, I need to water that. If you actually add a lot of water into the soil, those roots and those root cells will do what they do, and that water will be taken up into the plant. If it's not past the point at which the cell can no longer survive, then this cell will actually fill up to look back like its original form. It'll become erect again, the water vacuole will fill up, it will then push against the cell membrane. Okay? So when we're talking about, what happens at the cellular level to make plants, or plants as a whole, look wilty or floppy or flimsy, it's because the water in their water vacuole is pretty much gone. And that's the consequence. It does not add that actual pressure onto the cell membrane, which pushes it against the cell wall.